Speaker, I have an amendment at the desk.
The clerk will designate the amendment.
Amendment number 62, printed in House Report number 116-459, offered by Mr. Allen of Georgia.
Pursuant to House Resolution 1060, the gentleman from Georgia, Mr. Allen, and a member opposed will control 5 minutes. The chair now recognizes the gentleman from Georgia.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. This bill that we're debating here is a partisan travesty and spends entirely more than this government can afford. That's why I rise again today to offer an amendment to cut spending to the Interior and Environment portion of the bill. In addition to its overspending, this bill attempts to delegitimize President Trump's replacement for the Obama administration's overreaching WOTUS rule. The farmers and landowners in my district will tell you how devastating that would be. It continues down the path that the far left have been touting this entire Congress, implementing socialist Green New Deal policies disguised as emergency funding. This couldn't be further from the truth. This bill not only spends more of Americans' taxpayer dollars, but forces others to spend more, forcing onerous regulations on American business owners that would ultimately lead to higher costs for our American families. Continuing to adhere to the Obama administration's outdated and repressive regulations would be detrimental not only to the energy sector workers, but to millions of American families whose budgets depend on affordable and reliable fuel and natural gas and jeopardize America's energy independence. Today's minibus totals $219.6 billion in discretionary spending, plus another $37.5 billion in emergency spending. Busting the budget agreement and increasing funds in the form of BCA cap exempt funding, and almost a third of the funding of this division not subject to the BCA caps. And let me remind you that under the Democratic majority, we can't even stick to the budget that was agreed to. The Interior and Environment Division would provide funding at a whopping 41.4% above FY20 enacted level and 59% over the President's request. While the President's budget proposed to reduce or eliminate programs in the EPA that are better left to states, communities, and private individuals, the House proposal for Interior and Environment maintains or increases spending on EPA programs. I'm a former business owner, and just like any good business owner or family knows, you must operate within a budget and make tough choices to live within your means. As members of the People's House, we must hold ourselves to the same standard that American workers and families do. My simple amendment is a good place to start. My amendment would reduce interior and environmental spending by 5% for fiscal year 2021. I want to do some quick math for you. My amendment would cut about $2.7 billion. Even with my 5% cut, this division would still dramatically increase spending for fiscal year 21 compared to fiscal year 20. To be honest, I wish we could cut more, but this is a place that I believe we can start. Even with my amendment, we still will be spending a lot of taxpayer dollars, so I believe my Democratic colleagues could easily support this. Our national debt crisis can no longer be ignored, and my colleagues must take a serious look at Washington's spending in order to start taking back control. Madam Speaker, earlier today I mentioned my 13 beautiful grandchildren, and I'm excited that we have another one on the way. I believe it is all of our duties to do everything possible to avoid placing a $26 trillion and growing national debt and burden on the backs of the next generation. My amendment is just a small first step toward bringing fiscal responsibility back to Washington. I urge all of my colleagues in this body to support my amendment today, and with that I reserve.